the kinetic, the physical. It is with velocity of feeding momentum. It is the falling of rain, the rotation of the moon. It is shuffling around, jumping and twisting. It is speaking and listening. Movement is authored, movement happens, it just happens. When we move, we alter. We alter it all. Our insides, the ground beneath our feet, goes around us, and goes in our memories. Moving is funny. You never know what you're going to get until you've left. A space, a place, yourself. So, what happens if the threads move near each other?
When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars, waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. From Wendell Berry.
You don't know this, but at the end of a journey, I have a habit of writing you letters for the future you. I wrote you a letter to give to you when you were 16 when I got home from France, but I think that one got lost. And I wrote you one when I got home from Italy too. This one is electronic, and therefore, I sincerely hope impossible to lose. There's nothing like a sister to always be there, and even though we're 9 years apart, with my sneaky time capsule strategies, we can still go through some growing up things together. I know you have a beautiful life full of adventures that can be very different from mine, but I hope these writings at the very least entertain you. If not, give you some solace that being your sister means so much to me that I cheat the space-time continuum to talk to you about things that you don't care much about here and now. This is equally as much of a place for me to clear my head as it is an excuse for me to boss you around, by the way. So this is the year I took my great trip. We've spent the last 8 months sleeping in mud huts in Africa and stuck in Lombard hotels, napping with seals in New Zealand and eating quesadillas with frijol in the barrios of Mexico. I've learned so much, but to be honest, most of the time I forget what. Here's one thing I'm pretty sure about though. You're pretty likely to find what you're looking for. We have spent the last 8 months looking for injustices in the world power systems. Let me tell you something. There are plenty. There are purple rivers in India and malnourished children in Tanzania. But let me tell you something else too. The days I set out looking for beauty, there was lots of that too. The same malnourished kids who play a mean game of soccer. And most of the littered streets in India breathe a history full of colors and smells, both great and terrible, that would take lifetimes to figure out. Pretending like anything is all good or bad seems like a big fat waste of time if you ask me. But some days you just need to marinate or one in the other. And I say to that, good on ya. That's what they say in New Zealand. There are way more things that I'm not sure about at all. As a general principle, I don't have time for these things because there's so much I'd rather be doing that I would consider productive than chasing my intangible thoughts in theoretical circles. But on this trip, we tend to spend long periods of time on dusty bus rides and thinking in quiet corners. I used to think that the purpose of life was happiness. I had obviously not given that much thought because, as it happens, many people care much more about peace, justice, and clean waters than they do about remaining peaceably ignorant. I've been told over and over again that you can fight for a cause joyfully, but I still don't believe it. Fighting doesn't make me happy, and I've never met a person who seemed happy fighting. I have known several who would be happy to fight. The fighting itself, exciting maybe, but I've never met an activist who walked away thinking, gee, what a happy person. Something else on my mind? The relative importance of pink nail polish. Not the literal little bottle that I recently threw away alongside a couple of pairs of shoes and a pile of Mexican variety DVDs on my last sad effort to fit everything into my bag before leaving on Wednesday. A more figurative pink nail polish. Those things that make you smile even though they don't always make contextual sense. I'm not sure when we spit until then. Let me leave you with just one small piece of advice, my baby sister who is actually every bit as old as I am. And that is, live simply. Any question that I have come up with this year, and therefore any question that could ever be asked, because believe me, we are professionals in this, can be answered simply, and any problem that needs fixing is usually best solved simply. The things I love most are pretty simple. You guys, day hikes, bread fresh, and still hot from the oven. I hope that you can still find time and space to talk about these things over coffee or whatever is on your mind when you're 23. Much love and hugs, your big sister.
I can't believe it's been a year already.
Yeah, how have you been? Have you been good? Yeah, how have you been?
Well guys, I am no longer running ITSA, and instead I now live in the Himalayas and spend my time in meditation and contemplation with Sono. You can check out our website at www.mountainguru.com. Here's our website.
Oh,
that's awesome. Hey guys, what is it? I am no longer taking photographs. I instead have people taking photographs of me because I become a K-pop star. I saw that coming.
That's insane. I mean,
Thank
I can't
you.
believe, ever since that day in Mexico, I just can't believe we're all here. And I mean, that we could actually organize a reunion and that we all showed up.
That's so true.
Seriously. Remember how hard it was to coordinate anything together when we were on IHP?
Word. Do you remember how difficult it was to come to any decisions at the beginning when we were so different?
Okay, so as an example, I propose that we adopt that dog.
What does the X mean? Does that mean never ever?
Wait, are we doing this or this?
What's maybe?
My co-op would not do things this way, guys.
What's a co-op?
Have to take care of the dog.
Oh my god, it's taking forever!
There's no way we're getting adopted customs, guys.
Is this a precedence for other animals? Somebody sum up what's happening?
This dog will die if we don't make a decision in the next 2 minutes.
I will punch every one of you in the face.
So, who chose Mexican food again? I was hoping for Indian food, but anyway, I guess I'll deal. Yeah, always got a shot.
So how has it been? I can't believe it's a year already. And what is the waiters?
So, this is how we look in real life. I'm pretty impressed, I have to say.
I know, we came.
I'm going to the bathroom. Can someone take a menu for me?
Yeah, sure.
So, what would you ladies like today?
Do you have a vegan meal? What about that? Sorry, I'm lactose intolerant.
Our friend is veggie, but no egg.
She doesn't eat it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Speaking of bathroom breaks, I mean, IHP taught us to pee like champions anywhere.
Yeah, I think so. We got really familiar with our physical limits. Remember in the beginning, I was so fear of nipples.
Yeah, and I mean, by the end, no one was shy anymore. I mean,
It's really not. Put it into perspective. Yeah, she's right. I'm drunk, but she's right.
yeah, that was pretty bad. Not to mention all your visa stuff, too.
Thank you. We got through though.
Yeah, eventually. Do you remember how connected the group felt at the Mirai?
Yeah, that was a totally different experience. I felt completely recharged and reconnected.
I think we made it through like the rough middle stage and we're ready to be a big functioning dysfunctional family again.
Functioning dysfunctional?
Do you have a better way to describe it?
The thing was, not only were we closer and like super transparent with one another, we were really patient about other stuff, like everything as well, you know, or at least more than before.
Yeah, like when the magical bus broke down.
Oh my god! Who was on that day? That guy with malaria. What's his name again? Hey, our highway cops comes out this month.
Yes. But wait, that
What
one
was
guy.
his name? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Malaria man.
Anyway.
Whatever, okay. So, remember how traumatized we were when the student left us before Mexico?
You mean when you abandoned Derek with us for 2 months?
That was rough.
Yeah, but by that time we had matured enough to survive till we get to the reunion.
I think so. I feel like by the end of Mexico, we have gained enough patience and comfort in dealing with the unknown, and we slept on wooden benches without even bitching. I made the most awesome Zapatista crib with those benches. It was so cool.
I remember sleeping on the dining table. I've always wanted to do that. Level 1.
Close enough.
According to Mojne, we were the first group that actually decided to run into a thunderstorm together for fun.
So I guess we're adults.
Really, Sean, have you learned nothing about projecting identities on people? And that's it.
That's really what I was actually. I learned so
All right, is everyone connected?
Called Aha Moment, and it's kind of like a personal discovery that I had this year. And so, political economy, something I know everyone is interested in. But for me, this idea has really crystallized the power structure of the global system which has come to dominate this world. It has stimulated my academic interest with things like world systems theory, power holding institutions and their connections to the people I've met struggling against them. It has even led me to attempt to read a really dense and big book, which is actually something I never do. More personally, it's given me something to fight for. I now have an idea, thank you Oliver, of where I can start. I have examples of how to struggle, thank you Jonathan, and even how that struggle could benefit the nature and critters, thank you Jen. More tangibly, I have an honors thesis for next year, something I never imagined doing. And that's actually really true. I didn't think it was going to happen until like a month ago. So thank you, Derek, for that. And it's short. But I guess I'll end by saying that I owe a lot of appreciation to a lot of different people who have helped me along this journey. Not just my professors. I want them to know that despite multiple instances of puking my guts out, flea bites, horribly uncomfortable beds, and shitting my pants, more than once. I grew so much in so many ways this year. I grew so much in so many ways. This intellectual spark being just one of them. I feel really inspired, which is quite difficult. I tend to be cynical as well. I feel driven, and I feel quite at peace with what my future holds. So really my aha moment is more like an aha year. And while I'm ready for it to end, I know that I will be forever grateful for this journey. So thank all of you, and especially thank you to the people who made it possible, and especially Chio, because you were there every day.
Throughout our travels, my addiction to caffeine has brought me to this universal, identically constructed and designed space. In DC, Tanzania, India, New Zealand, and Mexico, I found myself at the International Activist Coffee House. The identical coffee house ambiance, grindly chaotic or Starbucks sparse aesthetic, independent artwork covering the walls for sale and supporting local artists, of course, filled with young students, thinkers, discussing or plugged into laptops, walls with flyers for performances, concerts, dread hairstylers, and zines. In Wellington, I frequented Fidel's, a place that was even name-dropped in the play Clara and I saw, noted for how difficult it is to get a job there. It was filled with political artwork and a universal aesthetic of shaved heads, piercings, and facial hair. The menu catered a variety of obscure international dishes, like keema from South America and hummus. The walls had prints and post art of an array of Latin American rebels. Meanwhile, in Oaxaca City, I found Lobo Azul, the epitome of the international activist coffee house. On one wall, 3 clocks for Tibet, San Francisco, and Oaxaca were all in a line above an accurately proportioned world map. Next to the It's Apartheid Palestinian Liberation poster, featuring an anonymous person half covered in the black and white checked scarf, was a Zapatista poster with the face obscured instead by a bandana. The omelet selections were omelet ecologista, derechos humanos, economía sustentable, y dignidad. Logo Azul largely struck me as a metaphor for IHP, or the material aesthetic manifestation of our program. The selection of omelets sounds remarkably similar to our course list. Like the panorama of political art, we have sampled and visited and witnessed grassroots causes across the world. But most poignantly is the academic, purely intellectual and disconnected observer positionality. It is the same position of genuine interest in those causes, but inevitably detached from the on-the-ground realities of these movements. What we've seen in classes, lectures, and site visits is an interpreted abstraction, just like Lobo Azul's poster art. The coffee house is a consumerist space. Is learning consumerism? Is the accumulation of knowledge, the need to sample all of these cultures and movements, causes, capitalist? Is the International Activist Coffee House a symbol for the commodification, for the commercialization of anarchy and the rebellion aesthetic? How is our program itself a product of globalization and the links between education and development?
Moving threads, shooting out in different directions, left, right, oh, that was not left. Left, right, left, twisting around each other's words, positionalities, energies, moving with the weight of material culture from place to place, food to food, language to language, picking up scattered memories, stories, experiences of the weight of the world's problems. Adding weight to our packs and our souls. Picking up again, after rushed goodbyes, another thank you card and a song. Bus, walk, tramp, plane, train. Moving so fast, we forget where we're going. We forget to ask, we choose not to ask. Sitting with fear, observation and questions like, do I belong? We go to places, not our places. We eat food, not really our food. What is ours? How do we claim it? How do we stay whole when we are constantly moving in the unknown? Dislocation between body and mind, between body and soul, between body and place. How do we relocate?
I told you I didn't remember for.
Oh yeah, that program sounds wonderful. You'll get to go to so many NGOs. What's your major again? Oh, right. Sociology and anthropology. Well, you can work in an NGO. But then with these art classes you want to take this semester, that can't really happen. You'll have to take some statistics and science classes. You'll need it for grad school. We need to plan for your summer also. If you don't get an internship, I'm really worried about, what you put on your resume. Although this program, will be great on your resume. It's so international. You could probably even work for the World Bank.
Look at you. You think you're so outside the system, but you've always been trapped. You've learned about how development limits other people's life choices, but you've been developed your whole life. Now do you see how you are tied into economic systems and how the role that you have, you're expected to fulfill its options? You're expected to fulfill is one dependent on making money and affects what options you have access to do. Restricts the possibilities of the world.
Yeah. But why are you telling me this?
You will soon find out. But first, let's take a look at a few moments from the past year.
So, it's a country where
where you're from, do you have any goats?
No. I have a dog.
Okay, well, without any goats, how are you ever going to find a wife? You must have some special skill or something.
Well, I can play the ukulele.
Do you remember how wealth is measured differently throughout the world? Money isn't the only thing that matters, especially not in terms of happiness and success. You realize that your connection to all of this is as a consumer, but non-consumer active isn't the only activism.
The work we do is focused on keeping the rivers clean. It is very important to preserve the purity of our land and the health of our resources. Some things that we do are restrict fertilizer use of surrounding farmers and develop more sustainable living practices. Any questions?
Yeah, so that's so interesting. What do the farmers produce around here?
Well, most of them are from Terra dairy farmers, which is nice because they already avoid the use of many antibiotics due to the pressures from the Asian market.
I remember that. But why are you showing me?
Did you see them all drinking from plastic water bottles?
Yeah, well, because we're moving around so much, it's kind of hard to keep track of all our stuff. And sometimes we had no other choice. You should have seen us in New Zealand, in Tanzania. That was a bad one.
And there's the irony. You're traveling around learning about sustainability, but how sustainable is that? What systems are you sustaining while you travel? Those water bottles that you're drinking from are plastic. Their product adds a huge amount of pollution to the world. And even if you recycle them, the chemicals still happen and the river is still purple.
Yeah, but what can we do?
Slow down, Tiger. We'll get there. I've got more. Your program, just like New Zealand, projects an image that it cannot really uphold.
But that's only because we have so little control over what we do and where we live right now.
And that's because you did not create the world you're living in. But you could, and we'll get to that later.
So Tia, tell me about the housekeepers here in Zanzibar. Have they always been a present in Stone Town household?
Not quite. Households used to be structured very differently. Growing up and having kids did not mean leaving your parents' house. Each household held multiple generations, so grandparents, uncles, cousins all played a role in caring for children. Also, women didn't used to leave the house to work. Eventually, they gained their rights to stay at home and care for their children. But as they left the house, they got trapped in the economic machine of having to work, having to contribute. Now children are no longer raised by their own families, and the people hired to raise the children are apart from their families. The women working at your host family's house probably moved from the mainland to work in Stone Town, leaving her kids behind. Although the small money she sends back helps keep them in school, her role as a mother has become that of providing income, instead of providing daily love and support.
Damn, Ghost. That's such an interesting analysis.
I bet that hits home, right? Your parents have spent hours upon hours working on their business, but often forgetting to be around the house, to play games with you and your siblings. But dude, they are subjected to the system. They live in the constant move away from the house towards the workplace. Didn't you also move to the place that best prepares you for your career?
Any questions?
Hi. I was wondering, what are hopes and aspirations? Well, I guess what I mean is, like, how do you define this?
What does the good life mean to you? Do you want a good job? To be in grad school for the next 10 years of your life? Grow dreads and sell metal jewelry on the beach in Zipolite? How will you free yourself from the pursuit of profit? What does it mean to have balance or autonomy in your life? What does it mean to be free?
IHP will not operate for the 2013-14 academic year. The sole factor for the decision to suspend...
I can't read anymore. Oh no!
I must learn really quickly.
Starting over. Okay, here we go.
For the 2013-14 academic year, the sole factor for the decision to suspend the program is low enrollment. As a whole, study abroad enrollment is down this year, and competition between programs has intensified. While the decision to suspend the program was given a great deal of thought and a number of options were explored, the low numbers simply allowed for no alternative. All the best wishes. Joan Tiffany, IHP Senior Director.
No alternative.
No alternative!
What are you doing here?
Well, what did you just find out? I'm here to help you process what you just found out.
But I don't get it. Don't people care about the issues on the program? Aren't people concerned with reclaiming nature, culture, and justice? No one else wants to go beyond globalization. Why would people sign up?
Well, let's take a step back. Remember how people thought you were crazy for going away for a year? Everyone expects study abroad to work within a semester model. 3 months and that's it. When the system functions for a semester absence, it's hard to make that decision and be away for 8 months.
Yeah.
And for word learning, if there's only a few people signed up, it's not profitable. It's like investing in the betterment of humanity, but without guaranteed returns.
Even this radical shackle-breaking program is subject to the system.
Remember how academia encourages you to pick a major and stick with it? Part of the reason BG isn't running is that students have chosen a more focused program. It's advantageous for the system to compartmentalize, restricting understanding of the broader structure. This may not be the full story, but it's part of the stories that make up this history.
Does that mean neoliberalism wins?
Hello. I'm pleased to announce the merging of Monsanto and World Learning. Together, we will teach you how to feed the world.
Hello! I'm pleased to announce that a joint venture between Bono and the Gates Foundation will be funding this year's IHP Beyond Globalization. Thanks to the generosity of these philanthropic visionaries, we will train the planet's future leaders to save the world.
No, it doesn't have to be this way. This doesn't have to be the future. There are many futures. We may not know what form BG can take. We may not know what form our lives will take. But that's, oh my God, but that's okay. Because there are thousands of alternatives. You may find yourself
running a business that couples income generation with social
Go in your own house.
services.
Leading a tech
Teaching
yourself.
in a restaurant, broadcasting
Creating an alternate
enjoying
experience.
yourself in a 9-month
Learning about its
banning
problems.
plastic bottles on your campus.
becoming a part of a collective, a cooperative, an intentional community.
Why does everyone keep giving us tea? Or telling us they're going to give us tea and then giving us potatoes? Or saying it's dinner time but then giving us tea? And then what happened to all the tea? And then there was coffee and Jamaica, which is great, but where did the tea go? And then I realized that we have spent 6 months in the British colonies. And there were the Germans and the Belgians, and now we're in Spanish colonies. And there's tea, and there are trees in Tanzania that suck all the water away from everyone else because German people really like them because they feel like home. And the national language in India is English, and New Zealand is a settler state that was never decolonized. Colonialism has never gone away. Sometimes it is felt on this trip like the ghost that lurks behind so much of what we've seen, from language to school systems to land distribution schemes. Colonialism has never gone away. But it's not just these relics, these things that feel like echoes of the past. Colonialism continues and it's expanding. Resources and wealth continue to flow from colonized countries to colonial powers along the same channels that were dug during colonialization hundreds of years ago. Those same channels of extraction and exploitation that have been there for centuries. Indigenous peoples pushed to the global margins. We created global margins, by the way, through colonialism so we could push people to them. Continue to suffer direct and brutal violence and dislocation for the simple crime of living on top of things that other people want. And this is only what they suffer when they don't protest. The colonial hierarchies of race, class, and gender persist and continue to deepen and structure relations within countries and between countries. And governments, corporations, international organizations continue to collude to centralize wealth in a very small section of the world at the expense of the vast majority.
To be honest, I have no idea. After stories of traveling to Turkey, South Africa, China, and a slew of other countries, I was bewildered. I was born and raised in Massachusetts. Born in Boston, my grandmother cried when she found out my family was moving to Quincy, which is on the same the same line. When I got older, I split my time between weekdays in suburban Massachusetts in Mansfield and Boston on the weekends with my extended family. They are traditional, and they fit most of the stereotypes that you may associate with Bostonians. I was going to be the second person in my family's history to leave the Atlantic Ocean for over 1 week. As I have progressed through IHP, I realized how different this rooted sense of place is. Hearing students compare how early they need to book their flights to their university, student visa processes, and using Skype credit to contact your family was fascinating to me. As we collectively examined the local and questions surrounding community, I began to realize my own narrative. I can bike to my school. When my family's finances are able to, we buy local produce at the farmer's market in the center of town. Bridget has the best lettuce, and John has the best strawberries. I have over 24 aunts and uncles, and only one of them lives more than 2 hours away from me. When we pose these questions about how do we start in our own communities, I am thinking of all the people and organizations I know within the 20 minutes between my school and my house. Am I embedded? Hell no. I buy apples from Washington, clothes made in China. I own a cell phone with parts mined from countless countries in the global south. And I have worked for transnational companies. But I have come to appreciate my locality. Somewhat ironically, but like most people, by being away from it. Away from the brutal New England winters, thick Boston accents, and John with the best strawberries. Although I have come to value all the narratives of those I have the honor of sharing this experience with, I have also begun to appreciate my own. My relative rootness, my community, the amazing community leaders I looked up to for guidance. This has been a long process of coming to terms with. I was the type of person who made the effort to seek out those who had traveled and cringed when students found out how close I was to my school. I felt exceptionally average, and I have been dreaming of this opportunity to explore the world since I found out what study abroad was. I thought that this is what would make me interesting, special, and someone to respect. The funny part is that I've been preaching the opposite to the students I mentor and those who organize in my community, without allotting the same respect for myself and my own narrative. As I reflect on this year, I wonder, will I dig deeper and continue to settle myself in my home, or will I continue to have this wanderlust of constant movement and transience?
I don't know. We're a group of people, scattered, dislocated, confused, uncertain, kind of dirty. Trying to figure out our shit, like everyone else, and making more shit in the process. And still, we are trying, we are laughing, we are loving. Now, I ask us to move with the following words that were brought to us, I believe, in New Zealand. And the piece is called Without. The silence of nature within, the power within, the power without. The path is whatever passes. No end in and itself. The end is grace, ease, healing, not saving. Singing the proof of the power within. That was Gary Snyder, voiced by Via Peter. And with that, I think we're ready to relocate. All right, 2 lines. Staff, you are not without. Come on, let's go. Who wants jam beans? Trust me. Trust me.
What is? We're falling apart. Why do I? Is that smoke? I really want to. Yeah. Can you guys not sing? I'm trying to sleep.
What's going on?
Is someone hurt? Where did you come from?
The Bayo Show?
The Bayo Show. That has a car. There's a scooter. I don't know idea. What's the schedule?
When are we gonna eat?
Lunch time.
I've been paying for this.
You guys start quick. I didn't do it. I got some. I'll send it to them. Wait, guys, let's not do that. You can leave it. Do they know we're supposed to be here? Yeah!